Good morning, everybody. I hope you are doing well on this fine day. I am Kevin Ioli in Las Vegas, Nevada. And I think it's kind of appropriate that in 3 days, on Sunday, June 8th, 2025, we will have the induction ceremony for the International Boxing Hall of Fame. Manny Pacquiao leading a group going into the Hall of Fame. Congratulations to those guys. But I want to talk about a guy that I think is going to be in the class of 2028 for the International Boxing Hall of Fame, and that is the great Vasiliy Lomachenko. I'm sure you have heard by now, Lomachenko announced his retirement from boxing, 396-1 with 2 Olympic gold medals, incredible record as an amateur, 18-3 with world titles at 126, 130, and 135, had a ring title when he was at lightweight, one of the best fighters in the world. For my mind, there was a stretch in his career, and I'll get into that a little bit, when he was the absolute best pound-for-pound fighter in the world, but he was always in the top 10 during his active career and just was a phenomenal fighter, one of the best, nicknamed the Matrix, a terrific nickname for a guy. And Loma was one of those guys, that was, you loved to watch because you knew how much he loved boxing. You knew how much he was looking for the big fight. He was always out there chasing the big dogs. He wasn't looking for tune-up fights and fights that he would win to give him X number of defenses or X number of victories or anything else. He wanted to prove that he was the best in the world, and he was on a mission from day one. If you remember when he turned pro with Top Rank after the 2012 Olympic Games in London, when he won his second Olympic gold medal, he wanted to fight in his pro debut for the world championship. Unfortunately, they couldn't get it sanctioned by the sanctioning body, so he ended up fighting for a minor title from the WBO. He won that, and in his second pro fight, he went to San Antonio and he fought Orlando Salido for the belt. That was a really good fight. I personally thought that he did enough to win that fight. The decision went to Salido, and Lomachenko had to wait until his third pro fight when he fought Gary Russell Jr. to be able to claim the world championship. But this guy was just a remarkable fighter. He was so accurate. His footwork was among the best of all time. That's what really, sometimes when you separate the very good from the great, it's that footwork, that ability to create angles, that ability to punch from all these different places. That was what separated Lomachenko from so many of the other fighters. He's, kind of like two of his contemporaries, especially in the second half of their careers and during his, Manny Pacquiao and Floyd Mayweather were like that. They had that unbelievable footwork. And I think that just made Loma, put him at another level. And when you look at Loma's career, I think, he beat Jorge Linares, he beat Gary Russell Jr., he beat Guillermo Rigondeaux, Nicholas Walters. I mean, there were a lot of really good fighters that he beat. His 3 losses were to Teofimo Lopez. No doubt about that. That was October of 2020 during the pandemic in the bubble at the MGM. No doubt about that. Lopez won that fight. I thought the Julie Letterman scorecard of 11-1 in favor of Lopez was way offline. My recollection of the fight, I was sitting there ringside, was that Loma wasn't doing much in the first part of the fight. Nobody knew why until after the fight, but nobody could understand. He wasn't throwing a lot of punches. Then he got behind 6-0. Then all of a sudden, here he comes down the stretch, and he's like a racehorse in the Kentucky Derby, just covering ground and coming back and winning those rounds and making it a close fight. Give Teofimo Lopez credit. He went out and won the 12th round decisively, and that won him the fight. But I felt like Loma acquitted himself really well in that fight. And then when you see a couple days after the fight, He didn't say my shoulder was hurt. He had surgery. He had shoulder surgery after that fight, which of course, he had an injury bad enough to need surgery. Makes it pretty difficult on a boxer to fight somebody as talented, as young, as exuberant, and who was working so hard as Teofimo Lopez. So, not taking anything away at all from Teofimo, but saying, look at the courage that Loma showed to go into the fight against somebody like Teofimo Lopez, basically with one arm, right? Just remarkable. I kind of thought from a period from May 2nd, 2015, when he fought on the Mayweather-Pacquiao undercard, probably until when he fought Jorge Linares in New York, May 12th, 2018 at Madison Square Garden. He won 8 in a row at that point, all by knockout. The first 4, the guys retired. They quit on their stools in the corner. I think during that stretch, he was probably the number 1 pound-for-pound fighter in the world. Guys just couldn't make it to the finish line with him. He was beating them up so bad, and they just quit. They said, I've had enough of this. I mean, that was a remarkable stretch of fights that he had. That's when the Rigondeaux fight occurred, and the hardcore fans were really into that because Rigondeaux was the Olympic gold medalist too, was that defensive master like Loma was, and to see those two guys together, really got people excited. And it turned out to be a masterclass performance by Loma. Now, Rigondeaux was probably on the back end, kind of toward the end of his career. But Lomachenko had left no doubt. I mean, he just went out there and destroyed Rigondeaux and showed that there was a total class difference between them. I would have loved to have seen them fought a couple of years earlier if it was possible, but it was just the way their careers lined up. But Vasiliy Lomachenko was always a class act, always a front, always in condition, always ready to fight the best. He was professional in every sense of the word. And so I think that that's the kind of guy that needs to be honored, not just by being elected to the Hall of Fame, but by being put in on the first ballot. If you're one of those people that says, oh, I'm not so sure that you should be in, you're not a first ballot Hall of Famer, forget about that. You're either a Hall of Famer or you are not. And if he has the goods, then he should be in. And I think, how can you dispute what Lomachenko has done in his career? Arguably the greatest amateur boxer of all time, one of the pound-for-pound best fighters in the world for the majority of his career as a professional. At one point, did in fact sit on top of the pound-for-pound rankings. Fought everybody there was to fight, won most of his fights decisively, and 2 of his 3 losses to Orlando Salido and Devin Haney were disputable. I thought that he beat Salido. I thought that he beat Devin Haney. The Haney fight, no doubt, was close, and I'm not going to sit here and say it was the greatest robbery of all time. No, it was not that. You could make an argument that Haney won the fight. I just thought Lomachenko did enough to pull that fight out. And this is a guy fighting, think about it. He fought Devin Haney in 2023, and now in 2025, Haney is fighting at welterweight. Loma could have at that time been still fighting at featherweight, but he challenged himself by moving up. And I think that says a lot about the guy that he was. He wasn't looking to take it easy on himself. He was looking to challenge, to prove something. I'm the best in the world. And that needs to be rewarded by putting him in the Hall of Fame the minute he is eligible. So I hope everybody who has a vote in this, think about that. Think about how great this guy was. Think about how professional he was, everything he did. 2 Olympic gold medals, world championships, one of the best in the world as a pro, fought everybody there was to fight. How can you keep him out? Vasiliy, congratulations on a great career, always professional, always classy. Hope you enjoy your retirement. Hope that you stay in boxing in some way. Share that unbelievable knowledge you have with other fighters. Love to see you training fighters. That would be a treat to see what kind of fighters you can help develop. Congratulations, Vasiliy. Proud of you for the wonderful career you had. The Hall of Fame awaits. We thank you for everything you did. As boxing fans, we appreciate it. From Las Vegas, I am Kevin Iole. Thank you for joining. I hope you can like this video, subscribe to my channel, and also give some love to my website, keviniole.com. There's plenty of boxing and MMA content there. And if you can go over there and check that out, I would be greatly appreciative, and tell a friend. So have a great day, everybody. Thank you for watching, and we will see you next time.